Hi there, I'm Rex King. Welcome back to another episode of From the Archive, and today we're talking about Arion. So, Arion was directed by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. I apologize if I butchered that name. And he actually was trying to get this project off the ground for quite a while before he got the green light, but he struggled with pitching the film. So, he ended up making a manga first to help really pitch the idea of the movie and give an idea of what it would look like. 6 years after the manga's release, the movie was greenlit and they went ahead with it. Arion was released on March 15th, 1986, and I'll be honest, I couldn't find any box office numbers or what the critics thought of it at the time. I know most critics today think it was pretty decent, and in comparison to a lot of other films from that same time period, has aged decently enough. What do I think? Well, let's talk about it. So, Arion follows this kid named Arion, who is the son of Demeter, uh, and he lives pretty much a peaceful life with his blind mother until he is tricked and kidnapped by Hades and taken to the underworld to be trained basically to become an assassin to kill Poseidon and Zeus. What transpires is a journey that is very similar to that of Greek myth. And that is because, well, the story is partially inspired by Greek myth. Now, I do want to bring this up. The film does bring up the fact that these are basically the gods before they would become known as gods. This is before the Greek myth stories were made. Um, so if you go into this film expecting it to follow the step-by-step Greek myth, you're going to be a little bit shocked to find out how different this story is and how different the characters are from their Greek myth counterparts. Now, this did bother me at first, as certain characters felt like they weren't behaving like they normally would. Like, Athena isn't as wise or as threatening as she would be in Greek myth. Hades is kind of still portrayed as evil, even though Hades in Greek myth wasn't as evil as other people in Greek myth by a mile. Zeus is nowhere near what Zeus is in Greek myth. And that did bother me a little bit, but once I was able to really get past that, Arion is a fun adventure story. It follows a singular character as he goes through this dark fantasy landscape and gets involved in battles and wars, and it's really intense and it's a fun journey. That being said, there is a lot of contrivances and a lot of weird moments, especially towards the end, where it has changes the relationships between certain characters, and it really doesn't feel like the film gave itself enough time to breathe or really flesh out its story towards the end, and that's kind of a shame. Honestly, nowadays, if Arion was being made, I would say it would probably be better as a short anime series, and it would have worked and flowed a lot better. That being said, what we got as far as a final product as the story is concerned isn't bad. And that has to do with probably our main character, Arion. He's such a likable character. You do want to root for him against these impossible odds that he seems to be facing. Everyone wants to manipulate and use him, and you want to see him kind of overcome that to save the people he cares about. The gods themselves aren't really as developed as our main character is, but they don't need to be. They're his obstacles, essentially, and that's fine. They can be a little bit one note, but I really wish they were more interesting at times. The only one we really get a lot with is Apollo, and that is kind of unfortunate because, well, these are the beings who would become known as the Greek gods. And that being said, I still enjoyed the characters overall. The performances, now this is only available in subbed. In fact, according to the Blu-ray I have, this was the first time the movie was released in subbed. So, yeah, there is definitely no chance of there being a dubbed of this anytime soon. So if you're not into subtitles or subs, you're probably not going to love this film, and you might want to stay away from it. That being said, the vocalization is fine. I think there were some issues with the audio, especially when characters are just crying out. It was almost too dramatic and too goofy at times, but it's not awful for a film like this. And the visuals really age well from a film from 1986. And that is saying a lot. I've seen a couple animes from this time period, and I would say this probably has one of the best visuals as far as the action set pieces and the character movement that I've seen from a film in this era from anime in quite a while. I really was surprised with how fleshed out the world looked and felt, and the action sequences really were entertaining to watch. And this is all helped by a brilliant score by legendary composer Joe Hiyashi. Those of you who are familiar with Ghibli know who he is, and this is before he got involved with that company, and he still did great work in other films, and this movie proves that. I really enjoyed his overall composition score. I really enjoyed listening to it isolated. It's a good listen. It is kind of cheesy 80s, but I mean, when you're talking about anime from the 80s, you can't be too choosy with your music score. And I honestly think that this is probably one of the better ones I've heard from anime from this time period. At the end of the day, Arion was a fun time. Yes, it's not as interesting or compelling as the Greek myth stories it's taking inspiration from, but it's a decent enough story and a decent enough character journey that I found myself locked in for most of the runtime. Towards the end, when characters like relationships change and a lot of contrivances are just kind of made, it feels a little rushed. But honestly, if you can look past that, this is a really decent film to pick up. Now, normally I would say this type of movie is a stream first, then buy, depending on your overall enjoyment. But this film's not available on streaming. So, should you gamble and get the Blu-ray from Discotek like I did? Or should you avoid this film altogether? Well, let's talk about the special features here for a moment. Now, like I said, I have the Discotek Blu-ray, which according to the Blu-ray itself, this is the first time that the movie was subbed, which means if you're going to get the film, you're probably going to pick up this copy. As far as special features that accommodate that, there's a making of, a promotional video, 2 trailers, and an art gallery. So if you really are looking for a decent enough Blu-ray to add to your collection and risk watching, you could do worse than this. I mean, I honestly really like the fact that there's a making of. I wasn't expecting that at all. The art galleries are pretty cool as well. So yeah, overall, I would say that this film is definitely worth the buy. That being said, I know there are people who don't love subbed movies, but I didn't mind it that much, and it didn't bother me that much, and usually I prefer dubs as well because I struggle with subtitles occasionally, but since this is an action-oriented anime, you don't need to really see or understand what they're saying a lot. You just need to be able to follow the action. And I believe with the way the action is animated in this particular film, it is really good. Anyway, that's what I thought about Arion. What did you think about it if you've seen it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I really love doing these videos, and I really want to hear what you think, and I'm really hoping to get some more support for this channel. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at Going in Style. See you then!